Whenever wisdom feels hidden and life feels heavy, we should remember that every breath can still glorify God. Welcome to day 125, 124 of the 180-day Bible journey. Today, we see how to walk humbly before God, to seek His wisdom, to praise His greatness, and to live every moment of our lives for His glory. In Job 25, Bildad, Job's friend, stated that man cannot be righteous before God. God has all the dominion. He has power. He has a host of armies. Man cannot be pure before God. And he says that God is so excellent and is so perfect. Humility begins with recognizing God's holiness. And in Job chapter 26, Job declares the frailty and of course the limitations in man, but also he discussed the majesty of God. God who stretched out the outer space. He handles, he controls the earth, the seasons, the rain, the clouds, and the sea, and the animals and the plants, everything in it. God's sovereignty inspires awe and it inspires reverence. In Job chapter 27, Job maintains that as long as he lives, he will not speak wickedness, nor will his tongue be filled with lies or deceit. He said he will not let go of his integrity, and that the enemy will be like the unrighteous and the wicked, and they will be punished by God. You see, integrity endures even when misunderstood. In Job chapter 28, Job continued talking about how man has used wisdom to profit from the natural resources, turning raw materials into finished products. But the source of wisdom cannot be found in anything except God, who understands the way of wisdom and its proper place in our lives. True wisdom flows from reverence for God. In Job 29, Job reminiscent of his former life, when he felt the embrace of God, when he felt close to God, when his children were alive, when he had honor. He said when men looked up to him for help, for support, for wisdom, and ultimately for leadership. Gratitude is what remembers God's past goodness. And we should always be grateful for the things God has done in our past. In Job chapter 30, Job talked about the reality of his existence as one who people mocked and kept away from. His prosperity has passed away. He is afflicted. Job's heart is at this time in turmoil, and he is in heavy mourning for the loss of so many things he has lost. Faith persists even in sorrow. In the book of Psalms 125, the psalmist says, trusting in God, He makes us to be like Mount Zion, unmovable, unshakable, and that God surrounds the righteous and will not allow the rod or the scepter of the wicked to come upon us, and that God will always do right to the righteous. Praise is what magnifies God's eternal power and His mercy towards us. As we move into the New Testament in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, Apostle Paul started showcasing Israel and what they did in the Old Testament. Even though they observed many miracles and God did so many tremendous signs and wonders in their midst, Yet God was not pleased with most of them because of one or two things, because they were committing atrocities, sins, iniquity here and there. And Paul warned us that believers should use the Israelites' history as an example to live right and to flee from idolatry. He said we should live in spiritual liberty of how and what we eat, but also we should be sensitive to the faith of other people who might not be as strong as we are, because it will show our level of maturity. Discipline and love are the two keys that reflects God's glory in our daily lives. And we should learn to also do that. And this brings us to our memory verse today in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. It says, therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And so the glory of God is the paramount. The glory of God is the mission. The glory of God is the vision. The glory of God is the goal, is the objective in our everyday living experience. Whatever we do, is it glorifying God? At the end of the day, when we retire to our bed and our home, we're about to sleep, let's think over the things I did today. How many of them bring glory to God? How many of them brought glory to self? That's how we begin to check ourselves and to put ourselves in the right path and in the right way. My name is Alan Oloshola, and I thank you for joining me today. And my prayer is that God will cause us to live for His glory all the time. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and God bless you and have a good day.